Okay, so everyone, this is Jacob and Joshua Fu. They comprise the Fu Music.
Hello.
Hi.
This is my class. This is a producing class, filmmaking. And so what I wanted to do is basically bring you guys in, talk to my class about what you guys do, how y'all started, how y'all got big, and basically your process. And y'all are up to what, 93,000 now, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, around there. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Okay. So why don't you? Okay. So I have questions, but basically to start us off, how are y'all doing?
Good. It's early for us.
Yeah. YouTube life. We usually sleep late, wake up a little later. Not too late actually. But it's
good. Yeah. So if we're a little groggy or out of it, just kind of virtually slap us in the face.
Let me full screen this. Hold on. Okay, so maybe. All right, so okay, so Jacob and Josh, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us what y'all did before y'all went full time?
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of give you background for me, I worked at a online used bookstore called Better World Books for about 5 years. Quit my job to work with my wife doing wedding photography for a couple of years before we started doing pursuing YouTube full time. And in that time, while I was doing wedding photography is when we started doing YouTube a little more regularly, and that's where I was before YouTube.
Yeah, for me, I had just graduated from Georgia State, and then I was actually working in his office, Better World Books, as a part-time kind of like intern, and then I got a full-time job. So I just followed my brother around, basically. And then I quit and then did real estate for a year, and like he said, that's about when we started doing a lot more on YouTube. So 2 years probably of work before.
Yeah, so YouTube's been a super interesting journey for us, and it's still very much of a grind. We actually, we both grew up playing music in our churches, and that's kind of how we got started playing guitar. And eventually we didn't hang out too much while I was in college. We're 3.5 years apart, so we didn't hang out that much. And after I had graduated and he was working, we started hanging out more, and we decided to do some covers and played at a local bar a lot. And that's kind of, in that time, you saw something like Biscuit, and our mom wanted us to videotape some of our covers to send to our grandma in Indonesia, just because she wanted her to be able to see it as well. And that's when we started uploading some stuff onto YouTube. And they were horrible videos, but some people started liking the covers, and that's when we realized, let's figure out what it is, like how we can do YouTube more, because that's essentially in 2010, 2011 when people started, when you started hearing about people like actually making a living off of YouTube. And so that was interesting to us, and we started kind of doing some research. And we started off basically noticing that people who were YouTubers were uploading constantly, like once a week at that time. And so that's when we started off doing covers once a week.
All right.
And we did that for a while, probably a few months, when we decided to. That's when we kind of decided to do this cross-country road trip. So we had been both working, been self-employed, and had some free time, and we did this cross-country road trip and happened to meet a friend of Freddie W. I don't know if you guys know Freddie W. at all. He does more of kind of like special effects YouTube videos, really geek gamer stuff. So he was actually the first person that we met in YouTube that introduced us to kind of the industry, and he ended up introducing us to a lot of people within the industry. So that was kind of our introduction there, and we ended up meeting the person that is part of the that founded the network that we're a part of right now, and the next big step for us was Internet Icon, which was an online.
It's like an online American Idol type thing where, but instead of singing, like you would make videos. So they would give you, like it would be like there's 10 contestants, and like the subject would be make a video with these 10 words in it, or make a video using these 5 props and things like that. And we did pretty well. We got to top 3, and that kind of gave us like face time on the show all throughout the show, and that really helped propel kind of our channel from like 9,000 followers to like 60,000 followers within that time it showed, which was like
3 months.
3 months or so. Yeah, and we kind of took that and like saw it as an opportunity to kind of grow that community, like a community around our channel.
Yeah. So from there, last year, that was
2012.
2012,
Yeah.
Summer of 2012. And that's when we started talking about, okay, this is, an opportunity for us. We've met a lot of people out in the YouTube community and started growing a decent-sized audience. And that's when we kind of decided to give it a go. We had savings from our corporate jobs, and last February we moved out to LA to kind of pursue it for the year. And it was kind of we've been very practical with our YouTube careers and decisions, and that if we can't make it, we're not some of the young kids that are on YouTube now who have kind of that flexibility of, hey, if I make it, I make it. If not, I still live in my parents' house. So we've been really practical with it, and last year we kind of made the decision, if we can make a full-time income off of it, then we'll continue to pursue it. If not, then we'll just kind of go back to regular jobs and do it as a hobby. Last year was break even for us, and so that's why we decided to give it another year, and we moved to Vegas this year just to be able to focus a little bit more, and it's a lot cheaper to live in Vegas than it is in LA.
That's for sure.
And so that's kind of where we are now in terms of we're still pursuing it and not quite at that comfortable level yet, but we're hopefully getting a little bit closer every day.
Okay.
So yeah, that kind of gives you a quick history of where we are, and I don't know, Q&A, we'd love to answer specific questions that you guys have.
Yeah, well, one thing I did want to ask, so when y'all decided to go full-time, what were the things that you were considering, or what were the factors? Because I think for students here and just people, like, what is the thing that kind of pushes you to make that leap of faith? Because y'all had, fairly good jobs, right? And YouTube or filmmaking in general, doing a feature film or making your own feature film or whatever, is an unknown. So what were the things you considered when you were doing, go full-time YouTube?
Yeah,
We definitely had established a lot of great relationships going in. I think everyone has different levels of like feeling they're ready to go in. For us, it was we had established really great relationships and had you know had ideas to go into it already. Like we had like a lot of people encouraging us to do it and was like, hey man, like we like the stuff you guys do and want to work with you. So we had a lot of those prodding us. We had yeah.
Yeah, I come from a business background, and so for me it was very much making sure the pieces were in place, and having kind of the network for us really helped us to push it forward, and knowing that there would be some people to help us out. For me, it was a little bit of a different decision because I mean I'm married and I was married at the time, so it's if I were single, I could be a little more I don't know, reckless, I guess might be the word for it, in terms of not having to think it through. The other piece was we knew, financial wise, that we had savings to be able to kind of live out the year. And one thing we didn't want to do was go to LA to pursue it, but be so split on time in terms of like, okay, now I got to figure out, if we pursued it, we wanted to pursue it 100%. And so going to LA for us, knowing that we could do that rather than have to worry about, crap, we have to, get a waitering job just to get through it. But that for us, that was because we had a tight time frame. We wanted to figure it out within a year and be aggressive with it. And so that was a big decision. That was kind of a big factor for us when we made that decision.
Yeah, not to mention, definitely something we grew to love, and behind like all of that is like the passion to do it is out of wanting to kind of share our voice and understanding that we had so many opportunities that were given to us that it was like we can't not accept this as a responsibility to share kind of what we have to share. And so all that we kind of do, we always kind of are very responsible with our voice and like how we share it. So that was a big part as well, like just understanding that, okay, we have this opportunity to do something awesome and we want to we want to grasp it and go with it. So
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I do have, so people, our students understand, a little bit about how films are made and a little bit about the industry of Hollywood. So tell us about the YouTube industry, working with YouTube, working with partners or the YouTubers. How does that work?
YouTube is a really interesting industry and can be very frustrating day to day. YouTube is owned by Google, and they're a machine. And as creators, we are pretty much independent and have no sort of union or protection, and we have to kind of figure out how to make ends meet on our side. The YouTube community is changing all the time. Like 2 years ago when we started getting into it, it was completely different than it is now. I think right now it is definitely moving towards, as it gets more recognition, as it gets more mainstream, and as people understand that it can become careers, it's definitely moving towards more of that Hollywood feel. One thing that's really cool is, within the YouTube community, for the most part, everybody's very supportive, encouraging. Working with other YouTubers is great. But it is a really, it's a tough grind. You're constantly making content for your viewers, and there's not really a break. For us, we're done with one video, and we're moving on to the next one. I think there's like, I think the people even at the top are never really, I mean, they're never
relaxing. They're still always trying to think of just ways. Because I mean, it's
the time frame is much tighter. You know, you're cranking out content. Just to give you an idea of kind of our workflow, you know, we have one main video a week every Thursday on our main channel, and then we're also releasing a smaller video on Mondays on our main channel. And our second channel, we have consistently 3 videos a week. So we're producing about 5 videos at least a week. So for us, you know, some of that content we can kind of bank up. We can spend a couple days and work on 2 months of this series or whatever, and have it ready to go. Our main video we're pretty much working on week to week, and so we spend an afternoon figuring out what the concept is. If it has something to do with music, we'll kind of write the structure of it. Josh will go work on the audio. I start to storyboard something for the video. We shoot the video. I edit it. He finishes the audio, and then we put it together. And that's like a 3-4 day turnaround for us. So yeah, it's really different. You know, we don't have much experience in kind of the Hollywood side of things, but we've had a couple friends who've made features and helped out with that, and it's so interesting seeing the difference between the production side, you know, in terms of the size of your crew that you're working with, and the timeline that you're working with, and being able to kind of perfect some of the stuff that for YouTube, you know, it's becoming a quantity game really quickly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. Sometimes we don't get to do, like, to keep up with our channel and keep up with like that schedule. It's like we don't sometimes don't get to always do what we want to do. So we have to like take a step back and be like, all right, like let's make some stuff for the channel, and then like think of ways to kind of give ourselves time to think of the next bigger project that we want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Great. Can you tell us how you come up with your ideas for your videos? What kind of like inspires you, but also what are y'all looking? Do y'all look for what you think your audience wants, or what what you want to do? Like, how does that factor into your ideas?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of everything. You know, we obviously have an audience who expects certain types of stuff. At one point, you know, our channel was strictly covers, and so our fans grew to like that. And then we decided at a certain point, you know, we kind of wanted to move away from covers just because, that you can't fully monetize covers, and it just creatively for us, you know, we don't typically listen to like pop or popular music, where and so that's what works well on YouTube. And we moved away from that a little bit, but then we had a lot of comments asking for them back, and so we kind of have to find a balance between things that we're passionate about and things that the audience wants to see. For us right now, we kind of have a schedule where we do covers every other week, and then something original on the off weeks. And inspiration for those come from all over the place. We try to do things that are a little more topical, trendy when we can think of them, so that, you know, they get kind of the natural searches. Other times it's something that we're passionate about. We have a video about the Philippines coming up because I went back in January. So that's something a little more kind of just something that's on our hearts and we kind of want to put out there. Other times it's just funny things that we run into in our day-to-day lives. Yeah. Maybe it's a video about farting, you know, it's stuff that's just stupid internet fun. So it really, our inspiration-wise, because we're cranking out so much content, there's never really a lack of ideas in terms of like we are always trying to look for something. So if you guys have any ideas, let us know.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I have a few more questions, but I just want to kind of open up. Do y'all have any questions you want to ask?
I'm very curious about the actual process of like becoming or starting your YouTube partnership, right?
Yeah.
So how aggressive did you have to be in pursuing that? Was there like a negotiation process, like the nitty gritty of it?
Yeah. When we had started, they had a very distinct program where you could anyone could upload videos, but to be able to monetize it, you had to become partnered with YouTube. That was 2 years ago. Now I know anyone can upload and monetize.
Right.
So you guys could go on, upload a video, as long as it's content that you own, audio that you own, video that you own, you can monetize it.
You have to sign up for like AdSense, and
Yeah.
there's different things. Yeah.
But you can technically sign up for it now.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of growing, it's much more difficult to organically grow now, unless you kind of stumble across a lucky viral video, which there's definitely no formula for. But unless there is, and we just haven't figured it out, let us know. But yeah, you definitely have to be strategic about it now in terms of if you want to grow your channel. And the nitty gritty is really, unfortunately, it's getting to a place where it's like knowing people, being able to collaborate with people who are established, and kind of going that route.
Yeah, so the company we signed up with is Big Frame, and they're called an MCN, a multi-channel network, and they're basically like, I don't know if you've heard of like Maker being bought out by Disney. Maker is one of the largest MCNs, and basically what those do is they're basically kind of like an overall managing company, and they use numbers to pitch to like businesses, and they have established relationships with like YouTube, so it helps a smaller channel like get to know someone in that same network. So that was, I mean, honestly, that's how a lot of our relationships were established. We signed up through Freddie. We met Sarah, and they're great. Like it was like a family. So she introduced us to a lot of other YouTubers that were bigger, and kind of put in a word for us to work with him. So yeah, it's a lot about establishing relationships and getting to know people, and of course producing good content. But yeah, it's
when it comes down to it, if your content has to be solid for people to go on and subscribe. So even if we were to collaborate with somebody in your class, and they went to we did something so that on our video we said, hey, go check out this channel. If they went to your channel and either saw no content, or content that they didn't like, they obviously wouldn't subscribe. But for the most part, if it's similar type content and you're posting regularly, a lot of times, you can kind of convert those over to subscribers as well. But yeah, for us, we started when we were in Atlanta, so people had been. That's when YouTube started growing in LA a lot more and becoming kind of the central location for that community, and so it really helped us to have that tie to them through Big Frame, and be able to get introduced to a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Did that make sense? Did that answer your question at all?
Mostly.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Let us know what else you want us to clarify in the nitty gritty.
In the nitty gritty. No, I guess just like I'm very interested in your story, even if it was 2 years ago. Like how before you started building those relationships, how you actually went out and found this, like the MCN that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And, like that.
Yeah. So when we had started, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, our first strategy was just to say, hey, people who are doing this are posting regularly. And so that was the first thing we started with. And that was just weekly posting. While we were working at our jobs, we decided let's spend once a week.
Put in the work, yeah.
Put in the work, make a video. We didn't come from a video or audio background either, and so that was a big learning curve for us. Trying to figure out how to do this. So that's why Josh focused on audio. I focused more on the video side. We kind of split those duties up.
One thing we did actually that helped us get some attention was we did a cover of a song by a couple of larger YouTubers, and they happened to stumble upon it. And so we used a lot of social media to kind of, that's another thing. We try to use social media to kind of grab the attention of people, and really found ways to kind of hopefully get their attention for them to see it. And back in that time, if they liked a video, it was so much help to you. It showed up in their YouTube feed, and people would go to it. So we did a cover, and that brought a lot of attention to us because a couple of them that were on it, they liked it. And so, I mean, in terms of methods on how to be aggressive, just really understanding, learning to understand the industry, and understand because we had no idea what YouTube was about, and the community of it. So we really had to go in and be all right, what is this about? How do we kind of get the attention of some of the bigger folks and stuff like that?
Finding that topical content.
Yeah. And when you did that, were you already looking at doing this full time, or was that kind of something you hadn't even considered?
We were playing with the idea. We were kind of I wonder if if we can grow an audience. And so that's when we started. When we were doing that weekly content, we were looking at what music is popular right now, and what's the newest song that's going to get searched a lot. What is something that a YouTuber just released that we can kind of respond to, or that's where the cover came in of a song that a YouTuber did that kind of blew up. And so we were starting to play with the idea, but didn't really fully understand what we were doing yet. But I think the most important thing for us at that time was really just having a schedule, having content that our fans, or the small fan base that we had at that time, knew every Thursday they could come back and find a new video. So I think that was probably one of the most important things in terms of building the audience.
Okay, great. I know some of y'all had some questions. Gabe, you had a couple of questions.
Yeah. I've noticed that you've worked with a lot of other YouTubers and collaborated with them. I'm just curious to know, if you could work with any other YouTuber, who would you want to collaborate with that you haven't already?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Julian Smith.
Yeah, from the filmmaking side, we love Julian Smith and what he does. I don't know if you guys have seen his stuff. He doesn't post this regularly anymore, but we've just always loved his film style. Rhett and Link, musically are a lot of fun, and we've always wanted to do some bigger production with Mystery Guitar Man. We just haven't kind of had the right idea to do something with him yet. But yeah, that's the cool thing about it is that we get to, following these people and being friends with some of them, seeing how they work is really inspiring. Yeah. We're close to the Mystery Guitar Man team, and just to see the way they crank out their content and work on their content week to week, and their creativity is really amazing. But those are probably the 3 people that we'd want to work with.
And so you have a direct line to them, basically. If you have an idea, you would just call them up and, hey, Mr. Guitar Man team.
Them, yes. Julian Smith, Rhett and Link, we don't really know. We've met, but we don't really know that well. So we'd probably have to go through, either Big Frame or something of that sort to pitch something to them. Yeah.
So Big Frame is part of Sony now, right?
They're part of
DreamWorks?
DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Okay, DreamWorks. What? So how does that affect? Does that affect you guys in any way?
It will. We just don't know how yet.
We haven't seen the effects yet. We're honestly hoping that it's for the better in the sense that it'll allow us to it opens up more avenues of opportunity. So if DreamWorks has, a smaller budget, something they need to do, or they need to do, online content, they'll look to big frame creators. That's kind of, our hope. But we don't know. We haven't seen too much.
Yeah, they're still kind of in the process of transitioning over. So we have no idea how it's going to change yet.
Mia, you had some questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's, hi.
What are your favorite types of films that you create? So when I was on your channel, I saw all your, your playlists, and I saw the tutorials and the this and that, and the challenges and the dating fails. So obviously you have a lot of different interests, but is there one that you have a little bit more fun? Because there's also a huge time difference. There are 16-minute videos and 30-second videos. So what do you guys prefer, or do you?
For sure. Yeah. So we used to only do covers, and we realized that on top of that, creating more different types of videos. So we do creative videos, and then more videos that are more so kind of allowing our personality to come out. But honestly, I think we enjoy all of them for different reasons. But if we had a choice, we'd probably want to spend more time and do the more filmmaking type things, the more creative. So we did a video, a stop motion video, which was huge for us, and we really enjoy the outcome of stop motion videos. But sometimes those don't always get
it's a lot more work.
A lot more work, and it doesn't always get kind of the hits that we need to kind of get us through, Yeah. So that's why we have to do a lot of the little ones here and there. But yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, if we could work on our schedule in terms of just post up videos whenever we wanted and be happy with what we were creating, the storytelling type content, and then the creative videos, the videos that are shot in a different. It's not just a performance kind of video. So storytelling and those creative videos would be kind of the route we would go. We're starting to figure out, we've never really played with series of content before, and so the Dating Fails was the first time we had kind of a little story arc within 3 videos. So that's kind of the thing that we've been playing with recently, figuring out how to do a little bit more of that. It's just different muscle exercise.
Yeah, our background, like we said, has been, we didn't have a background in audio filmmaking, so we're just learning. We're learning about the process of filmmaking. When we moved out here, and when we interacted with a lot of filmmakers, and we're part of productions, we're wow, we're not doing it right at all. But that's YouTube. A lot of it is learning as you go and really absorbing and not being. Just being open to learning about things and not feeling, bad when you didn't do something right, but just all right, well, that's a much easier way to do it. I should do that process and then this. So, constant learning.
Yeah. Up until about a year ago, up until we pretty much moved, we were using iMovie and GarageBand for everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was. That kind of shows our background in terms of what we knew, what we were doing.
What am I doing?
We mean transition videos, and so it's been we've been learning Premiere and trying to learn a little bit of After Effects and whatnot.
Yeah.
You learn through YouTube tutorials.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. And calling up friends and saying, hey, how do you do this?
Yeah. How to? Yeah.
Thanks.
More questions? I have a question. Yes.
Since you moved from LA to, you said Vegas, right?
Yep.
So since you moved to Vegas, has it been harder since you can like call those connections up and like meet with them or whatever? Has it been harder on the whole entire process?
Overall, I think it's been a lot better. LA, as we were in LA for the year, our attitude was very like yes man. We would say yes to anything, collaborate with anything, and it was really distracting for time. People would ask us to be on videos, and what we've realized is that it wasn't always beneficial just to show up in the videos. One big thing about collaborating is to be in something is one thing, but ideally you're collaborating to where you have shoulder content, to have content that there's a reason for them to come to your channel and check it out. Otherwise, people don't care. There's so many YouTubers out there. So it was really distracting in terms of, our time was always spent, like we'd be working on something, people would call us up, we wouldn't say no, we'd go, okay, we're down, so there goes another day that we just burned. Being in Vegas, we've been able to really focus on our content, and we're close enough to LA to where, we've been out here for 3 months now, and we've gone probably 4 times.
Yeah, I've gone more than, it's like,
we've driven LA 4 or 5 times, and when we're there, we know we're there to work, and so we're able to line up collabs and work on that and be really efficient with our time. So I think that's, for us, it's actually helped out a lot in terms of focusing and figuring out what we want to work on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely the past year was great for what it was. Like, I think, like, we kind of just, we used it as a year to really get to know people. So without that year, we wouldn't have been able to build up those contacts and those relationships. So that year was really meant for that.
Yeah.
So,
but now we can go to LA, call somebody up, and be able to line something up when we're in town.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have another one. Okay. I don't want to monopolize the class's time.
Okay.
Where are you guys hoping that this will take you? Like, what's your journey looking like, do you think?
Yeah. We're trying to figure that out. No, I think most YouTubers are realizing that it's getting harder and harder to become fully reliant on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you look at the top creators, there's only a handful of them that I would say make their living strictly off YouTube. It's much more about building your brand out so that you can kind of pursue the different things you want to do, whether it's acting or directing, filmmaking, being personalities, doing appearances, for musicians, obviously performing. We're kind of in the process of figuring out what that looks like. We have kind of a new project that we're working on for the coming fall, and that's going more of kind of the kids avenue, so it's going to be a kids show, and so that's been what we've been focusing, I would say, any of our, besides putting out our regular content, that's all we spend our time on right now. That's kind of our big project, and so I don't know what that looks like, but if that's something that we can kind of flesh out, that's something that we're not personally going to be on camera for, but our personalities will be there. And so if that's something we can build out, that may be something that we'll kind of move towards and doing more stuff in the kids industry.
Yeah, as we learned more about, like, before, like, really understanding the world of YouTube, we had, we're like, okay, we want to be full-time YouTubers. That's it. But then we moved out here, we kind of learned more about the industry, learned more of the way things were going, and realized that it can't, it's harder than it's harder to do that. And we also established a lot of great relationships. Like, we did some things for filmmakers, like, some things here and there in the like the mainstream, like in the main media, that we didn't think we would do, but we, they liked our stuff and we did it, and so we kind of realized, oh, we can, we can pitch ourselves as directors as well, and kind of, we did a couple like freelance jobs. So yeah, a lot of things changed over the year in terms of what our goals were, and that is something that's constantly changing. Like whether it's because the industry just changes or because kind of our personal goals change. But yeah, like at the moment it is like seeing how this kids show pans out and seeing how it's received, and maybe that's something that we can continue and sell our ideas and things like that. So.
And would you be looking at making it an online kids show, or like
Yeah. For now, it's gonna live on YouTube. This was actually we pitched it to the YouTube Space LA. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the YouTube Space, but YouTube built out this amazing studio space. It's this giant hangar where they have sets, equipment available for YouTubers to use, and at no cost. The hard thing now is that there's so many people trying to use it. It's hard to book time there. This past January, we had the opportunity. We got to know the employees there really well, and so we had the opportunity to pitch to them kind of an innovative idea for YouTube, and they ended up taking 2 pitches, and so they took ours, and that's what we're working on right now. So the idea is that it would obviously live on YouTube or be launched on YouTube, and what that means in terms of being able to move it to mainstream media, we don't know yet, but the way we're structuring the show is definitely fit for kind of being able to live off of YouTube as well. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's huge. It's great. Thanks.
Can you talk about the specifics of how you monetize from YouTube? So we talked before, like you partner with other brands, but specifically for YouTube, how do you get money from them, and what generates that?
Yeah, there's pretty much two main ways to generate income from YouTube videos. The first is ads. So when you go to a video and you see that 30-second ad before, don't ever press skip on ours. So basically the ads, and that's very much a numbers game. You're talking like you're making
Pennies.
Fractions of a penny per view. And there's no real set number for that, just because it's always changing based on when in the year it is, when companies are putting ad money in, the type of content you're putting, and so the type of ads that are rolling for you.
How long somebody watches an ad really affects that as well, like if they click through it, if they don't.
Yeah, so for me, I've never really paid super close attention to it because it'll just drive you crazy to sit there and look at the numbers day to day.
Yep.
On YouTube, it is very much gamers that are doing really well right now, because it is specific content that the ad people know. I can run video game ads, and the viewers are all people who love video games, and so that's a really easy fit for them. So that's right now on YouTube. Gamers are king in terms of being able to make the most per ad view. So that's kind of one set of things, and just to give you an idea, that you're talking like maybe $2 per 1,000 views. Yeah, it's kind of a really rough number, but that's you're really not. I mean, you got to be getting millions of views to have a significant income off that.
Yeah.
The other side would be brand partnerships, and that it always helps to be part of a CPM. MCN for that. So, for example, we just did one with Squarespace, which is a website to build websites, and they ask us to talk about their product at the end of a video, and so we'll get paid a set amount for that, and that can be anywhere from here's $500 to here's $6,000 to put my product in your video. And those can be interesting in terms of the relationships. Some people are very specific. They want you to say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all these points, and make sure that they're all mentioned. Other people are a lot more flexible and say, as long as you put my product in your video, I want you to do your thing and you know how to reach your audience. So those are kind of the two main ways to generate revenue as a general YouTuber. As musicians, we can sell MP3s, obviously, and trying to turn those iTunes sales. That's a big thing for us.
Greg, I know you had did you just walk out? Okay. One of the students had a question about that. Like, how are your music sales doing?
Yeah, they're mediocre.
Yeah.
I don't actually. I haven't looked. We haven't looked at the. We don't look at the specific numbers super often. I know he asked like how many MP3s have we ever sold. I didn't know that number off the top of my head. Because we're not doing music weekly, it definitely differs. But we upload everything onto iTunes. So if you're looking for covers, cool acoustic covers, check it out. But yeah, we probably right now we probably generate just as much through iTunes as we do through our ad revenue, to give you an idea.
I have a question kind of to follow up with that. So, do you guys have any help as far as, for your covers, for instance, like getting the copyright for it, like or getting the rights for it? Do you have kind of a support system to help you with like business questions and kind of marketing like that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
So overall business, that's what our MCN helps us with. So Big Frame. So if they essentially act as our managing company. So like if somebody, we direct like all business inquiries to them in general.
Yeah, in terms of covers, YouTube has really cracked down on covers. So you have to have clearance even for the videos. Before, you could upload a video, and if you didn't have rights, you just don't monetize it, and it's fine. But even now, you have to have rights for it. So for that, we have a relationship, like Big Frame worked out a relationship with Sony, We're the Hits, that has a specific list of music that we can cover. And we split monetization with them. So it's a 50-50 split with Sony. So we have a very specific list there that we can that we have to pull off of, which is nice, but it's very limiting as well. For iTunes, we work with a company called Louder, Loudr, and .fm, and they actually take care of all the mechanical rights for us. So we're able to send them, hey, here's our cover. They take care of the mechanical rights, and it makes it nice and easy, and they upload it for us. We've done that for about 8 months now. Before that, we were actually going and purchasing mechanical rights on our own, which is a pain in the butt to keep up with.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really helped being able to work with a company that's kind of a one-stop shop for that.
Questions? More? So, can you talk for the kind of tech nerds here? So you talked about using starting with iMovie and GarageBand, which nothing's wrong with that. Premiere. So now you're with the Adobe suite, and what do y'all use to shoot, and how do you kind of talk about, I guess, your actual production of your video?
Yeah, in terms of the editing side, we run the Adobe suite, so we're doing Premiere. Josh runs audio through Logic.
Yeah.
For equipment, we are shooting primarily with the 5D Mark II, which we kind of just inherited in terms of like from my photography business down to the YouTube stuff. It works well. If we had to buy a camera, I don't know that we'd buy that one, but we shoot with that. We shoot primarily with a 24-105 lens, or we recently got a 100 macro that we've been playing with a lot. Those are our two main lenses that we shoot with, and then every so often I go and borrow my wife's prime lenses. They're her 50 and her 35. Trying to think of what else we shoot
The
with.
shoulder rig. Well, we can show you. Wait, where's the shoulder rig?
Esther still has all her stuff, huh?
What's that?
Esther, she still has everything.
Yeah, we've started slowly. We've slowly gotten rid of some equipment just because she doesn't need it as much, but we still have a lot of it.
Yeah, we have like this shoulder rig we bought off Amazon. I don't know how to use it because I never use it.
Super cheap shoulder rig. If you're ever looking
$30.
for a nice stabilizer, it's like $35. Just hops on your shoulder. It's great for skits and kind of being able to just do some movement with easy equipment. For audio, we run either the shotgun mic, the Rode shotgun mic, off of our camera. When we need better quality audio, we set up a mic stand and kind of self boom with a Tascam and run a mic through there.
Because it's mainly the two of us that shoot. We have to like think of ways to somehow be in front of the camera and behind the camera. We tripod a lot and I know that was a question somebody had asked in terms of like, do we have a team or if we're doing this all on our own. I would say 90% of the stuff we shoot right now is on our own. We're in front of the camera, behind the camera, editing, uploading everything. And then every so often, if we have a budget for a shoot, then we'll have a team. Or if we're collaborating with somebody, then obviously you have the extra hand.
How often do y'all get a budget for a shoot?
Not often at all. not often enough. And then if we do, like for example, if we get a brand deal, that technically is a budget that we could shoot with, but in those cases, we're usually looking at that as income, so we're trying not to spend a bunch on the production side, outside of the norm.
But like places like YouTube Space has helped a lot. We were able to like use their facilities and use their equipment, and sometimes they give a crew. So like we've had a crew of like 3 guys that are like great. Like they really know what they do. They help us gaff and like set up lights or I guess scaffing, or like they're like a DP for us, and it's really amazing. But for the most part,
we've only, out of everything that we've done, the Dating Fails video was the first time that we've actually hired DP on. And again, that was just because we had the space, we were really limited with time with where we were shooting, and so we knew we needed that extra hand.
Cool.
Yeah.
More questions? No? So, let's see.
Some questions about mine.
Okay, so I guess, Greg, you asked about animation.
Oh.
So there's a question about that. So have y'all thought about going into more animation?
In terms of like actual
cartoons?
Yeah. What were you?
I saw the My Life video and you guys were like drawing your life. So I was just kind of wondering.
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing that question.
Okay, so he saw your My Life video where you drew.
I'm drawing my life, yeah.
So I guess his question was videos like that where you, cartoons and 2D.
Yeah, Draw My Life we did just because that was a trending thing on YouTube in terms of using white. If you guys hadn't seen it, it's basically telling your story by drawing your story on a whiteboard and kind of speeding that up and narrating over it. I actually don't know how to do animation, so we've never really considered it. We do our stop motion animation stuff, so that's probably the closest we've come to any sort of animation. I think if we ever went into an animation project, we'd probably see if we could partner with people who actually know what they're doing, rather than try to learn it on our own.
Yeah, stop motion is probably, if we were to do anything animated, it would be stop motion. It would be cutting up paper and
Yeah,
moving things
that's
around.
what people know us, or people like our stop motion stuff. It's just for us a lot more work than it's usually worth.
Yeah.
So, so you guys are obviously brothers, and y'all live together, work together. How is that? Because are you constantly together?
Yeah, pretty much.
We've actually surgically attached ourselves together.
Yeah.
No, we've gotten along for the most part growing up, and in LA we lived together in a 2-bedroom, which was a rough. Because I mean, I'm married. It's nice to have like your alone time as a couple, but you don't have that when you're living with somebody. So part of the move to Vegas as well is we're in the same apartment complex now, but just walking distance, and it costs less for us to live here. Josh has a 2-bedroom, and we use one as an office, and then I'm in a 1-bedroom with my wife, and it costs less to rent that than it did a 2-bedroom together in LA.
Yeah, and it's much nicer here.
So nowadays, and over like last year, pretty much when we weren't working on stuff, we tried to do our own thing and make sure we have that time apart. Because I think otherwise when we're together, we keep talking about work, and then my wife isn't happy, and happy wife, happy life kind of thing. It wasn't working out well because we'd just be together and be like, oh, did you edit this or that? And then she'd get pissed off. And so yeah, we try to keep somewhat regular business hours, just so that we have kind of that boundary. And we realize the people who are working, the YouTubers that just work constantly, you can tell like it grinds away at them. So we try to do a good job in terms of balancing life and work with what we're doing.
I have a question. That's good. So when we're obviously filmmakers, we want to like at some point move to a bigger city and try to practice that. Do you have any like tips for us in terms of like moving to LA and like what we should do like to prepare to move to LA and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, get ready for traffic.
Oh my gosh.
There's traffic here, so it's going to be a huge kind of wake up.
Yes.
Yeah, traffic is like horrific. I mean, so bad in LA. Yeah, I don't mind sitting in traffic if I get somewhere, but like you'll sit in the car for an hour and get like 3 miles. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be networking and kind of putting yourself out there without being douchey about it. I think that's one thing that I realized going to LA is that everybody's trying to be somebody, and there's a lot of people stepping on each other to get somewhere. And I think for us, a big thing for us was trying to find good people to do business with, and I think people can read that really quickly. In terms of, there's just so many people trying to use each other out there and trying to figure out what can you offer me or how can you introduce me to the people I want to meet. So I think, number one would just be kind of like be genuine about things and put yourself out there, but kind of in a way that's genuine and treat people right.
Yeah, treat people right. That's huge. And we learn. I mean, yeah, we ran into a fair share of like D-bags, but we learned that the people who were doing things out there were genuinely. I mean, they respected people. They put in the work. They really put in the time to kind of like you know, they didn't expect to be somewhere immediately, you know. And I think like, yeah, it takes patience and yeah, understanding that, you know, you got to pay your dues and things like that. And
yeah, we don't know much about in terms
appreciate
of
it.
traditional Hollywood, but I mean, it sounds like, you know, you just kind of have to climb the ladder out there. The people that we work with, they worked PA jobs for a while before they got anywhere. But again, just they did their work. They were nice people. They people who respected them gave them the opportunities.
And on set, I mean, like on set, like there, I mean, you never know what anyone's background is. So I remember seeing people just treat other people like crap because they didn't think that they knew anything or they didn't know anything or like they can't offer me anything. But like there's so many other times where we were like, you know, we talked to somebody, got to know them, didn't expect anything out of it, weren't trying to get anything out of it. But at the end of the day, a lot of them were like, I know a guy who could help you out a lot, and we're like, whoa, like that was, that was really amazing, and yeah, I mean, just always respecting people. That's huge. So
I don't know if that helped at all.
No, I mean definitely.
Yeah.
So can you? I have a question about when you work with the brand. So y'all had stuff with, y'all had that Ford Focus or something.
Ford Fiesta, yeah.
Fiesta. So how were? Can you talk about that and how you were approached and what y'all had to do with that?
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a different program. So last year, Ford did this thing called the Fiesta Movement, which they basically gave out 100 Fiestas to social influencers, primarily YouTubers, for 8 months. And we had heard about that through a friend and just applied for it. So that wasn't really. I think they probably, out of the 100, they approached maybe like 5 people that they had done a similar program with a few years ago at a much smaller scale. So that one was you applied for it, and what we basically, our responsibility was to go on a mission every month, which was themed different things. So it'd be like travel or video games or adventure. And we'd have a list of missions that we could choose from. We'd have to do that mission, which they gave us the budget for the mission itself, and then create a video from it. And it had to involve the car. So it was pretty genius of Ford to do that. You know, it cost them next to nothing for a lot of content on a lot of channels, and it worked. I mean, it was really great for us because they paid for gas and insurance for those 8 months. We had a car, that we could kind of take on trips, and what worked out really well for us was that they didn't tell us ahead of time, but they were picking out bits of content from the videos that we were creating and putting them into commercials. So we actually, overall, the program itself, you weren't getting paid for. They were essentially paying you by giving you a car, giving you gas, and giving you opportunities. But we ended up actually getting paid for when they picked out portions of our video to put into montages for their commercials. So that was one of those situations where it would have been easiest for us to just vlog our experience whenever we went on a mission, but we wanted to create something that was creative and something that really fit with the rest of our content and worked out to benefit us because we were creating content that they could use as opposed to other people who were just simply vlogging, because most of the missions were set up that way in terms of like, go on this trip and show your experience. And so it'd be easy for people just to vlog on those trips, but we were trying to really come up with a creative idea for them.
So we're kind of approaching the end of our time here. So one last thing I want to ask, what sort of advice would you give all of us, regarding creating content, I guess, for YouTube, not YouTube specifically, but for the internet. How can you make, I guess, a living, or what sort of advice, I guess, whatever living, would you give to anyone kind of looking at that medium?
Yeah, I think it comes down to doing it often and doing it, regularly. For us, I think because we've set ourselves a schedule, and it's been 2.5 years since we set that schedule in terms of putting out content at least once a week, we haven't missed 1 week yet, and that has really pushed us and made us learn a lot more about the industry and about the especially the video production side. Like we're trying to we go into projects thinking like, hey, this would be a cool idea, have no idea how to do it, but we force ourselves to kind of learn it within that week. I think the internet has such a quick turnaround that's really helped us, and that's helped when we work with brands, that we can crank out content that they're happy with, that's creative, but in a really quick turnaround time, and that's what people are looking for.
Yeah. Also, finding kind of what you have to offer next to the. I mean, that's kind of goes with anything, but like finding what you have to offer next to the next guy, like just understanding what your voice is and delivering on that, because people always want to just see a different perspective, a different view, a different way of doing things, and so I mean, we're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, but yeah, if any of you guys are actually interested in doing it, it's like just create yourself a schedule once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever you think is within your means, and just start doing it and putting it out there. You'll start to get feedback, and as you continue to grow, you'll figure out what your voice is and what you want your channel to become. But early on, what's nice is you can do whatever you want. I mean, like, people are watching it, but you don't have that pressure of being pigeonholed into a certain specific thing that your audience is expecting. And so just create a lot of content. Create content constantly, and don't worry about I would say it's more so about, not necessarily about perfecting it, but figuring out how to make the best of what you can make within that time frame, especially for the internet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any last? Okay. Oh, Greg, yes.
I know some of their music's on iTunes. How much are they actually?
They haven't sold. The question was about like selling on iTunes. So
yeah.
They haven't sold.
We said mediocre. We don't. I don't actually know the number off the top of my head. Thousands.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's true. Yeah. So if you guys have questions, feel free to email us. Jacob@thefoodmusic.com. Josh@thefoodmusic.com. If you're ever looking to just be on video production, we always need a hand. Hit us up when you're in Vegas.
Awesome. Cool.
If you want to edit, we'll send you plenty of stuff to edit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, do y'all need? I mean, we can talk about that. If y'all need help, we have hundreds of students here that could.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Talk about something. We can definitely do that.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you, Josh and Jacob. Thank you so very much. Cool.
Make sure you treat your teacher really well.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Yeah. See ya.
Okay. Somebody else did it.